The crypto markets are heating up once again with Bitcoin testing all-time highs. Now we still have altcoins slightly lagging behind, but rest assured, there's still a lot of development going on in different ecosystems. As a part of today's video, we're breaking down Bitcoin and looking at the macro markets where things are continuing to be bullish by the day, where we're seeing TradFi and Web2 based companies figuring out ways to adopt blockchain and crypto technology. Now, following that, I want to dive into the specifics of the growing Cardano ecosystem, where I've got tons of updates breaking down partnerships and integrations. Without any further ado, let's jump on in. What's up, Ada Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central, your home for everything blockchain and crypto. My name's Fareed. As a part of today's update, we're diving into Bitcoin, taking a look at the macro markets, and then, of course, diving into Cardano ecosystem updates. So without any further ado, let's just jump straight on in for today's episode here, kicking things off with Bitcoin, which has basically tested the previous all-time high coming in from around the timeline of March. Now, right now, as it stands, a little bit of a red day so far. We've seen a slight rejection from that all-time high. Keep in mind that the more that we test the resistance, the more likely that it is to break. And then very similarly, the more that we test support on the downside, the more likely that that's also going to break. So this appears to be at least the third or fourth time that we've sort of hovered at around this $73,000 range. But this is definitely bullish given the fact that we were trading at nearly 60,000 just a month ago, right around the same time that we got the first Fed rate cut announced by Chairman Jerome Powell. Now, moving straight on over, looking at the macro markets here, there's been speculation that Satoshi Nakamoto will be revealed again. I highlighted this in a separate video where there was a documentary that came out about a gentleman named Len Sissaman or Sissaman. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Basically alleging that he was Satoshi, but there's now an additional allegation about a London-based member or person who thinks that they are also Satoshi and that they're aiming to prove that, taking place here on the 31st of October, which is basically when the official Bitcoin white paper was released. I want to say in 2008 or 2009. So I'll be keeping an eye out on that. Taking a look next, bullish news here coming in, stating Visa and Coinbase have officially decided to partner up for instant crypto buys using debit cards. Now, I'm based in the US and I currently use Coinbase. I have to create or I have to connect an existing bank account. And then there's an ACH transfer that I've got to go through, which typically takes about 6 to 7 days to settle before I can actually move those funds outside of Coinbase. With this brand new option, it looks like it'll be even easier to purchase crypto, of course, right as the bull run is about to pick up. And this really just makes me wonder, where were all these bullish bits of integrations or news a year ago when FTX was collapsing, when Bitcoin was basically at all-time lows, when Binance was being sued, Kraken was being sued, etc. It really just seems to line up perfectly when we have a bull market and a lot of really positive news flooding in. And then conversely, when we're in a bear market and it seems like there just could never be enough bad news. Moving over, we've got even more positive news coming in, stating Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy, his company, which is invested in Bitcoin, that investment alone has now netted him over $8.4 billion in unrealized profits. Now, granted, he could potentially round trip this, right, if he doesn't sell. But as it stands right now, I mean, he is in the profit and we're just at the very beginning of the bull market, in my personal opinion. So it'd be really hard for him to sort of mess up this particular trade. But again, a lot of people were fighting him, didn't understand why he was investing so heavily into crypto and Bitcoin a year and a half ago. But I think now it's all beginning to make sense. Moving over, we also have the fact that the amount of stablecoin growth and usage on chain has grown so much that we're now also seeing an increase in demand for physical treasury bills. Who would have thought that crypto stablecoins being so heavily adopted would actually drive the money printer, right? Or the demand for actual fiat currencies. Moving right on over, again, highlighting Michael Saylor here. He's announced that MicroStrategy is aiming to raise $42 billion to buy, yes, you guessed it, even more Bitcoin. So this guy's obviously super bullish, Bitcoin maxi, but this is exactly what we want to see. ahead of this last leg of the bull market. Now, as we get ready to wrap up here in terms of macro updates, we've got the fact that Coinbase is now expecting 20% of global GDP or gross domestic product to run on crypto, comparing this very similarly to the rise of e-commerce back in the early 2000s or back around the early adoption era of the internet. Now, I'm not going to play the actual clip here. It's about 1 minute long, but basically a spokesperson representing Coinbase breaking down the fact that we are at a very, very early stage when it comes to macro adoption for Bitcoin and blockchain-based assets. Moving right on over, we've also got Mr. Beast, who's been in a lot of hot water as of late. If you've been keeping up with it, there's allegations of him basically performing fraud, lotteries, asking people to sort of do gambling with his original content. I'm neither here nor there. I'm focused here on the crypto side of things. But even with regard to that, it appears that he's been linked, or his crypto wallet has been linked to potential insider trading, netting him over $23 million in profits. And we've got a fully dedicated article breaking down the connections between his wallets, which, if you aren't aware, basically just started by him outing himself by owning a particular Bored Ape NFT, which basically doxed his wallet. And then from there, the rest is history. People have been tracking and monitoring his wallets. So that'll do it there for macro-based news updates. If you guys appreciate that type of content, let me know down below. I'll make sure to provide you guys more of it. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, consider subscribing here to Dapp Central for more content like this. And if you aren't aware, I am a single stake pool operator. So if you want to take your support a step further, consider delegating with the official Dapp Central stake pool, which is stake pool ticker DAPP. If you go ahead and delegate now, you'll be able to claim your traditional ADA rewards at any given time that you wish. But in addition, and for no cost, you'll also be able to earn the Tokeo Pay token, a wallet developing here on Cardano, expanding over into Bitcoin, as well as the Sarah utility token, a DeFi and profit sharing hub building here in the ecosystem. Now, let's jump straight into the latest updates when it comes to Cardano specifically, with the most recent release of Cardano node version 10.1.1. If you guys recall, we had the release version of Cardano node 9.1, which I believe brought on the initialization or the bootstrapping phase of the Chang hard fork, bringing us into full governance, enabling SIP number 1694. Now, this is the second piece, which actually turns on all of the features ahead of the Constitutional Convention taking place in Buenos Aires in Argentina. So it states here, node version 10.1.1 is a mainnet release for the Cardano node that is capable of crossing the Chang number 2 hard fork. Now, this includes improvements to governance, the actual core system, and then it also allows for SPO delegations to predefine voting options, or the auto DREPs, which basically allow for you to auto abstain or always vote no, depending on your preference. Now, it also states here, and this is really, really important here, with respect to staking rewards. Note, all those staking rewards will continue to be earned as usual. In order to withdraw rewards after this particular upgrade, ADA holders will need to delegate to a particular DREP, which may be one of the predefined options, a single key, or a Plutus v3 script. So this is essentially being done in order to make sure that we have the maximum amount of participation in governance, right, once this actual hard fork takes place. So if you are currently staking and you haven't taken out your rewards just yet, and you wait until after this particular hard fork, you will have to be delegated to a DREP, whether that's an individual, the auto abstain choices, or just a Plutus v3 script before you can actually claim your rewards. Now it states, until the hard fork, rewards may be withdrawn as usual or normally, although following the hard fork, you will not be able to take those rewards unless you delegate it to an actual DREP. That said, rewards will continue to accrue to the ADA holders normally, regardless of whether you've delegated to a DREP or not. That is really, I think, the biggest piece of news there when it comes to this particular upgrade. Now, if you're not already following the Intersect MBO online or on X, I recommend you go ahead and do so. They released a really nice post earlier breaking down that the hard fork working group has basically met, and they've taken some notes in terms of what are the next steps before we can actually kick off or initiate this next hard fork. And so what they're now working to do is basically just get the actual proposal for this brand new hard fork online as an information governance action. There also is going to be a big push for 85% of the stake pools to be upgraded, in addition to some of the biggest exchanges as it relates to liquidity. And then there's also going to be a need for increased delegation to DREPs, which is why there was the bit about the claiming of staking rewards and how that's going to potentially change after this brand new node is released. Moving over and wrapping up when it comes to Intersect, there's now been the announcement of Intersect Europe, which is basically a brand new arm of Intersect, aiming to unite the European community. So it states here, we're here to bring the people together and to make things happen across the continent. And if you are part of the European region, you can make sure to go ahead and join Intersect Europe. Next, we've got updates surrounding the MELD protocol. So MELD, if you aren't aware, building the Web3 banking stack, they've now got fiat on-ramps, off-ramps, lending and borrowing, and they've also made sure to get their licenses to allow for them to basically offer crypto to crypto and crypto to fiat services in, I want to say, over 37 currencies and in over 163 different countries. Now it states here, announcing the MELD debit card available for MELD Neobank premium users coming in Q1. In terms of what you'll be able to do with this actual debit card, you'll be able to pay with crypto. Obviously, the crypto will be on chain, but that'll be used to sort of fund the actual debit card. You'll be able to open a line of credit with MELD lending and borrowing, and this will be available to MasterCard holders available in millions of locations around the world. And again, this will allow for you to on and off ramp crypto and fiat in more than 37 different countries. Speaking or continuing on with MELD, if you aren't already aware, you can earn some pretty simple yield by jumping on and supplying different assets, including MELD, USDC and USDT. If you are to supply USDC right now, you can earn around a 10% APY. So taking a look there, you've got the core supply APY at 5.7%, plus that yield boost giving you that 10.2% APY when you combine both of those numbers. Moving over, there's a upcoming X Space, which will be taking place actually today on Thursday, October 31st at 6 p.m. CET, where we'll hear from Ken Oling and Moonguard, their product manager, as to how everything is going on in just the overall health of the MELD lending and borrowing protocol, as well as their thriving ecosystem. Next, we've got updates surrounding Minswap. And so here, what we've now have is the ability to on and off ramp, which is now live powered by Mercury.io. So you can now buy and sell ADA directly on Minswap, making it easier than ever for new users to onboard into the Cardano ecosystem without ever having to get involved with a centralized exchange. I mentioned this in the early portion of this video. Whenever I onboard into Coinbase, at least 6 to 7 days before I can actually get access to those funds. With this particular option here, you no longer have to wait. You can actually do all of this straight from the official Minswap platform. So we've got a matching announcement coming out here from the official Mercury.io team. Again, just sort of recapping their integration of their on and off ramp. Now, if you guys want to find out more about Mercury, I'll leave the official link to their platform down below. It's available at spend.mercury.io. And again, this breaks down their core offerings, their on and off ramps, and some of the benefits that they have to offer. Now, as we get ready to wrap up here, when it comes to the Minswap updates, this is coming in from Papo, a longtime supporter here of the channel. Shout out to you, Papo. But he's basically mentioned some of the key or some of the most recent updates as it pertains to Minswap, highlighting trading fee discounts for Min stakers, the most recent MetaMask integration, the fact that this particular team has resubmitted their application for Binance to be listed as a Cardano native asset, their new order basket feature, their recent partnership with Atrium, their IDO feature or their launch bowl or their launch pad, which is completely permissionless, as well as their partnerships with Jelly Cubes, integrations with Dex Screener, their V2 integration now listed on CoinGecko, and then on top of that, updated or more liquid mint staking, and then most recently their fiat on and off ramp. Quite a lot of news there coming in from the official Minswap team. This team has continued to build. And I also want to take a moment just to say congrats to this particular team. They actually came in as #1 for the best DEX at the most recent Cardano Summit Awards, and they also won the award for the best DAO. So this particular team innovating literally on all fronts. Next, we've got updates surrounding the Lace wallet, with Lace version 1.17 having now been released. This brings on board their brand new beta program that allows for people just like you and I to sign up and to get access to early features before they're released to the general community. So if you guys want to find out more, there's a fully dedicated article breaking down the fact that, again, their beta program is now going live. And with the new beta release, this means you just can now create a shared wallet that can also add co-signers, and they can also set up custom signing conditions directly within Lace. This feature uses SIP number 1854, which is derived, or which is a standard to ensure compatibility and security. Now, that's not all for Lace. We've also got the fact that they've now introduced what they call Nami Mode. So shout out to this particular team. And if we jump into this particular article or blog here, it breaks down what exactly is Nami Mode. So backing up a little bit, we saw IOG, which is developing Lace, actually pick up and buy out the Nami wallet developed by Alessandro, aka Barry Ailes, a couple of months back. And with that, we've now seen more of an integration between Nami and Lace. So it states, the move to Nami Mode is a simple yet swift process that eliminates, the friction of switching wallets. Users no longer need to learn a new interface immediately. They can continue with what they already recognize with Nami, preserving trust through a smooth transition. Now, right now, this is currently optional. However, after the Chang Hardfork number 2, this will be a required thing. Now, with actual Nami Mode, you have the ability to now take advantage of multi-delegation. You can now also view a advanced sort of panel for your transactions. There's now also support for multiple software and hardware wallets. There's now also a full screen view and support for multiple addresses. Again, this is now currently optional, but after Chang Hardfork number 2, you will have to go ahead and upgrade, or you will have to use Nami Mode, right? By default, given the fact that right now, Nami doesn't support delegation of voting rights as required by Cardano governance. That will do it there for updates surrounding the Nami and the Lace wallet. Next, I've got nice bits of news here surrounding the Iagon project. So we have just seen the first ever custom pieces for their Cyclone QSs. Now, I'm actually just off the heels off of an interview with Dr. Navjeet Dhaliwal, who's the founder of Iagon. Stay tuned for that. That should be dropping within the next couple of days here. As a part of that interview, we've talked about computing, delegated staking, pilots with Fortune 500 companies, and just what the future holds for Iagon. That said, these custom Cyclone QSs are now basically allowing for you to operate an Iagon node in addition to a Cardano node, and it'll also allow for you to take advantage of the compute services once those go live for Iagon. So really an all-in-one bit of hardware here. Super impressive. Again, we've got a custom piece here for the Omen crew. I think there was also even a custom bit that was released for Crypto Crow, a pretty big influencer here within the space. Now, as a part of my interview with Dr. Navjeet, we talked about their private distributed cloud service proposal, again, which aims to basically allow for enterprises to now also provide their spare compute power to Iagon's decentralized node storage. Moving over, and as we get ready to close things out here, we have the House of Titans team, which has now contributed over 2.8 million Iagon tokens to their storage node. So they continue to beef up their operations, very similar to Nuvola. And then I want to say there's actually one other project as well doing something very similar. Their name does currently escape my mind. However, that will do it there for updates when it comes to Iagon. Again, stay tuned for that interview with Dr. Navjeet breaking down all of their latest developments. Next, we've got a nice bit of positive news coming in here from the Dedium team, which, if you aren't aware, is right alongside the Iagon team when it comes to DPIN. So they're a GPU computing protocol building here on Cardano, and they were announced to be participating within the Huawei startup program. Now, they've completed that, and they're now actually contributing or continuing to work with Huawei by now leveraging their cloud services. So it reads here, Dedium has partnered with Huawei after a successful incubation in their startup program. They've already collaborated on new contracts, and they're now basically working with Huawei to scale up their platform operation. So congrats to that particular team. Next, we've got updates coming in from the official Tokeo Pay wallet, which will be hosting one of the first ever token sales, not only taking place on Cardano, but also on Bitcoin via their Runes protocol. So we're expecting the token launch to take place on November 18th for Cardano and November 20th, just 2 days later, on the Bitcoin network. Now, if you aren't familiar with Tokeo Pay, I've got an interview sitting down with Magic Flow and Guido to break down everything that this particular wallet has to offer. And it's not just a Cardano wallet, it's also a Bitcoin wallet there as well. And this couldn't be better timed, especially with the Bitcoin OS integration that was just announced not too long at the recent Cardano summit. In terms of why the Tokeo Pay utility token, it states here, Token is designed to be a core portion of the Tokeo ecosystem, providing holders with a range of benefits and utilities. It's been designed to incentivize platform usage, reward holders, and promote community engagement. So it looks like here there's going to be sort of a shared revenue system where you can now go ahead and get access to different tokens paid out, right? Which includes ADA, ETH, BTC, Cardano native assets, and runes. And these will all be divided amongst different tiers, which they've listed at the very bottom here. So depending on how much Tokeo assets you hold or how much of the Tokeo utility token that you hold, you'll be able to not only get swap discounts, you'll also be able to actually earn a portion of the monthly rewards. So again, this is all broken down here. Make sure to check that out and make sure to jump in and actually download the wallet if you haven't already. And keep in mind that the Dapp Central Stake Pool is a partner pool for their ISPO. So by delegating to the Dapp Central Stake Pool right now, you'll be earning the Tokeo Pay token. And there's actually a Tokeo Pay dedicated ISPO pool with a 99% margin, meaning you won't earn any ADA, but you'll earn a little bit more of the Tokeo Pay token if you believe in the mission, in the product that this team is bringing forward. Next, we've got updates when it comes to the NEWM protocol. So NEWM, if you aren't aware, basically bridging the gap between content creators, musicians, and their fan base. So with the particular release of the app, you now have one place or one platform where you can log in as a music listener or just even a creator. You can now connect, right, with your fan base. You can listen to content straight from there. You can purchase, you can build your own playlist, you can build out your own library. Basically, a Web3 equivalent, in my personal opinion, of something like Spotify. So this particular team continues to innovate, and they were down on the ground spreading the good news at the recent Cardano summit. If you want to find out more about how to actually download the application, it is available at newm.io/app. And then they've got some of the current features, right, which allows you to log in with your socials, connect a wallet, automatically load NFTs. You can listen to them straight from there. And then in terms of what's coming next, we can expect customizable libraries, a music discovery feature, the ability to buy, sell, and trade music rights and collectibles, as well as the ability to stream music that you own the rights to, and then perform analytical reviews. Moving right on over, we've got the Bodega Markets, a prediction platform launching here on the mainnet, which is now announced that they'll be launching on November 1st of 2024. Now, they've already launched their testnet, which I was highly impressed by. And so if you haven't already checked it out, you can. I'll leave the link to it down below. It's available at beta.bodegacardano.org. Here's a nice little preview of the user interface. And as of late, they've actually just processed all the payouts for the Yankees versus Dodgers game. So bettors, or who were betting, I guess, on the Dodgers winning, actually made a 377% gain, meaning to me, at least, that there was probably some sort of upset involved. And you can expect that prediction markets just like this will be huge, especially as we now get closer and closer to election time within the US markets. So here we've got the official testnet. Again, super clean interface. You can jump in here and actually place a bet or a bid for the US presidential election winner. And based off of who actually wins, right? And depending on how much ADA has been put on either side, one side will essentially lose the bet. And then all of their funds will be distributed amongst everybody else who bid the opposite and who was actually in favor of the actual winner. So I want to highlight that there. I'll be sitting down with this particular team for an interview within the next couple of days. Stay tuned. and make sure to turn on those bell notifications for more updates and content just like this. Next, we've got a nice little bit of news coming in here from the official Indigo team, which is now open sourced Iris, a Cardano DEX indexer, giving you the ability to view transaction volume, zap ins, zap outs, orders that are placed, etc. This is now all open sourced. This is funded through Catalyst, and this is exactly what we need when it comes to transparency, accessibility, and just sharing and collaboratively working together to raise awareness around what's going on here in Cardano. Now, keeping up here with the trend of Indigo, I've got an interview sitting down with Daniel Short, their lead marketer, and we're going to be diving into Indigo Protocol v2.1, which is basically brought on a dynamic mechanism for interest rates and for just collateralization and just monitoring of the overall health of the Indigo platform. Now, with that particular upgrade, we've seen a huge increase in the treasury amounts going back towards the actual protocol, which can obviously be reinvested into future developments. And we've also seen a huge increase when it comes to the amount going back to Indy token stakers. So this is exactly what we've needed. It seems like a lot of sell pressure has now sort of dwindled down, and we're now starting to see more appreciation or more buy pressure, which will also include buybacks, which we'll be discussing in our interview. So make sure to stay tuned, and again, turn on those bell notifications for upcoming interviews when it comes to Indigo. Now, as we get ready to close out this particular bit here, RS Indy has now been added to the Rosen bridge. If you aren't aware, that bridge connects Ergo and Cardano together. We've seen a lot of other assets already bridged into the Rosen or the Ergo ecosystem, with RS ADA being one of those assets. And so we now have Indigo, or the Indy token, now supported on the Rosen bridge, essentially bringing it into the Ergo ecosystem. And it's now labeled as RS Indy. So you can go ahead and now take advantage of that there as well. Moving over, as we get ready to close things down here, we've got the release of Obymare, which is a brand new stablecoin protocol, which will be launching very similar to YAM4. So this appears to be a sister product. If you're not familiar with YAM4, a lending and borrowing protocol that just went live on the mainnet. They just also had a public token sale, basically allowing for people to borrow and lend without having to worry about liquidations. Now, with Obymare, it states here, Blimp is proud to introduce Obymare, a groundbreaking stablecoin protocol designed to address a critical infrastructure gap in the Cardano ecosystem, combining unwavering stability with complete decentralization. Again, stablecoins have been a huge topic. I just sat down with Giorgio Zanetti from the Cardano Foundation, and he's basically mentioned that right now they're working on gathering resources to be able to bring in big players, for example, like USDC, and that they are more than welcome, or that they're more than ready to support existing stablecoins that have already launched in the ecosystem, including JED, USDM, IUSD, and then I believe Mint or MyUSD coming in from the Mint team there as well. So really bullish on what's to come here, but definitely want to say shout out to Brandon and the M4 team for the recent launch of Obymare. If I'm not mistaken, there's also another product which hasn't been released just yet, but that's also been teased coming out from this particular team. Moving right on over, when it comes to Fluid tokens, they've now announced Aquarium, which brings Babel fees, basically the ability to create a transaction on a separate network, right? And being able to use ADA to actually pay for that transaction fee. Very similarly, imagine being or using a protocol built on Cardano, for example, like Minswap, but then creating a transaction and being able to pay for that transaction fee using the Min token. So this is exactly what Aquarium aims to bring, Babel fees to Cardano. And again, this is perfectly timed with the integration of Bitcoin OS. That's going to basically allow for ZK proofs to seamlessly integrate Cardano and Bitcoin, where people will now be able to shift their Bitcoin from the Bitcoin network and represent that as a Cardano native asset. Now, during that process, they're obviously going to have to sign a Bitcoin transaction, but with Aquarium, that transaction fee could actually be paid out using ADA. So we're expecting for this to be launched in Q4 of 2024, which is obviously now, so probably within the next month or so, as we are getting close to the end of the year here. And if you're not aware, it's currently being audited by Anastasia Labs, which actually won one of the awards at the recent Cardano summit there as well. So shout out to Phil, Mladen, and the entire team coming in from Anastasia Labs. Now, one thing to note here is that the FLDT token is up over 50%. This could potentially be due, obviously, to their integrations with Bitcoin. They've also launched a Runes DEX on Bitcoin, which is completely permissionless. Shout out to El Raulito for that. But over the course of last week alone, we've seen the price appreciation of FLDT skyrocketing nearly 50%. Of course, not financial advice, but definitely something that I wanted to raise. And so before we close out here, again, they are basically taking the leap of faith here and basically trying to onboard as many people into Cardano with this recent integration and with what they've already built on the Bitcoin blockchain. Now, jumping into the very last bit here for today's news update, we've got Charlie 3 or C3, an Oracle builder here on Cardano, partnering up with Fiat Finance, a insurance protocol building on Cardano to onboard the Howden Group, also known as the fourth largest insurance company right now in the world. Now, I just had Rodolfo from Fiat Finance on the channel talk about reinsuring insurance premiums and how we can sort of crowdfund, right, from a community's perspective to act as a reinsurer. Now, I recommend you guys go ahead and watch that particular video, but this essentially is aiming to leverage that by onboarding Howden and allowing for Charlie 3 to be used as the Oracle provider, basically bringing off-chain data on-chain for the verification and execution of different premium claims or different insurance claims through their collaboration with Fiat Finance. If you guys want to find out more about this, I'll leave the link to it down below. We've got Damon here, who's the proposal writer, but in a nutshell states here that Charlie 3 will integrate Howden Group's parametric insurance policies onto the Cardano blockchain to automate the claim and approval process and the payment process, which are currently being done manually. So a lot of bullish news here outside of the big announcements that came out from the Cardano summit. And as we get ready to wrap up here, I've released 2 videos so far, which have done extremely well, which one of them is dealing with Bitcoin OS, sitting down with Adon or Eden Yago, and then another one sitting down with Giorgio Zanetti, the CTO or the Chief Technical Officer from the Cardano Foundation, breaking down some alpha that's just been released from the recent Cardano summit. So check those out. I've still got quite a few videos to roll out here. I'm trying to take my time, not burn myself out. I'm still recovering a little bit, but that'll do it here for today's update. I can't thank you enough if you've made it through all the way till the end here. It really does mean a lot as a creator. If you've appreciated content like this, please make sure to smash that thumbs up. If it's your first time stopping by the channel and you want more, consider subscribing. And last but not least, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave those down below. That said, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.